What's up, everybody? I'm David Hain. Welcome to episode 128 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you enjoy this podcast, please like, subscribe, follow, and share the link with your friends. Or you can click on the support link in this episode's description. Your donation of any amount could change a life. If you'd like to get our curriculum, you can get the paperback or ebook of From Ashes to Destiny on Amazon. When we come back, we'll get into this episode entitled, Overcome the Blow. Welcome back to episode 128 of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast entitled, Overcome the Blow. I want to give a big welcome to my friends in recovery from the U.S., South Africa, and Australia for their participation in this group. Guys, I have a tough one for you today. Forgive me if I'm digging too deep. This one is about that feeling you get when you feel you've done everything you could to escape your past, but it keeps popping up. So I'm going to use the lyrics from an old Jim Croce song called Operator. Here they are. Operator, oh, could you help me place this call? You see the number on the matchbook is old and faded. She's living in L.A. with my best old ex-friend, Ray, a guy she knew well and sometimes hated. Isn't that the way they say it goes? But let's forget all that and give me the number if you can find it so I can call just to tell him I'm fine and to show I've overcome the blow. I've learned to take it well. I only wish my words could just convince myself that it just wasn't real. But that's not the way it feels. Shaw, you guys have been awesome with your insight, and I really feel you can touch that poignant aspect of wanting to show someone that you've overcome that blow, that knockout punch, even while you're still unsure of it yourself because things keep popping up. Ben, would you like to get us started this week? Sure, David. First and foremost, I just want to say Jim Croce's ex-best friend Ray is a piece of crap. There, whew, got that out. Secondly, in light of these lyrics, I have to say I think we all have stuff tucked away in our soul that creeps back up unaware as we go about our lives, especially in recovery, and even more so when we make a choice to do what you are doing, David, trying to help people. Recently, a girl was abducted in Memphis who was out for a regular jog, a mother of 2 little kids and a husband who adored her. The guy that abducted her murdered her and wouldn't even tell the police until recently where she was. I'm not even sure they got it out of him. It may have just been a lucky find for the police. Nonetheless, she's dead. My hatred and anger toward God being sovereign has crept up in my spirit this morning concerning this. I am, in my opinion, God's biggest cheerleader about his grace, mercy, and love. But something like this happens, and it brings back how I feel about things like the Holocaust and millions of Jews and women and children being raped and murdered for no reason other than pure evil. David, and guys, to be honest about it, it makes me want to throw in the towel, not on my recovery and doing what's right, but on trying to be a proponent of change as I shout from the mountaintop about God's goodness. How could God be good and allow millions of Jews to be burned alive in ovens? How could he let this young mother who was simply out for a jog be murdered by a demonic, devil-filled man who apparently has no remorse about what he did? The ministry Ben in me says, well, he needs Jesus too, so pray for him. The Ben of this current question today, David, that you're asking is, what am I struggling with from my past? It's this, because that Ben says, screw that guy and all this stuff. Well, there you go, guys. I can't get more honest than that. David, you said we were going deep and the answers were probably going to be ugly. I know that was pretty ugly, but that's where I am right now. I love you though, guys, and thanks for helping me to see a little more clearly what was in the darkness of my still being worked on by God heart. Wow, Ben. Thanks so much. I think you've shared your heart deeply in a way that all of us have felt at one time or another. And it's questions like these that can uncover things from our past that we've just assumed we've overcame those feelings and thoughts and were changed. Can anyone else identify with that deep feeling of frustration or anger that Ben shared? Charlie? Yes, David. Something I still battle from my past is fighting everyone and everything. For me to be quiet, peaceful, and respond with encouraging words takes a lot of work. Because of my childhood, in which I was mostly taught that survival of the fittest was the way to live, taught to fight and scratch and claw for everything, well, that often is my natural response. Still today, at 5 years sober, when dealing with people, immediately a wall goes up and I take control. Let me tell you what's going to happen here. And if you don't like it, get out. I don't need you. I can do it on my own. Well, this song, Operator, kind of makes me think about proving to others I've actually changed when I only need to prove it to myself. For the most part, I really have changed a lot. However, often people say things like, "You help people so effortlessly. I don't even recognize the person you've become. Everyone who meets you likes or loves you. You are so humble." And things like, "You are such a great guy, such a great family man," and on and on. Often my first thoughts are, I've always been this way. I'm the same me. You just didn't respect me. Or, no, actually, guys, I'm not a great family man. I'm worthless. Nobody really loves me. They're just saying that because they want to be nice. And at times, I just want to pop them. But James chapter 1 and verse 19 says to me to be quick to listen and slow to speak and slow to be angry. I know I have a choice. And when I listen, I often hear the truth and where the person is coming from. If I wait to speak, I can only say what is loving or helpful if anything is needed to say at all. So I choose to tell that operator from this song to call Jesus into each and every moment of my life so that I may walk differently in the change that others see and may say, "Man, I want some of what you've got, Charlie." Wow. Thanks, Charlie. I like that image of telling the operator to call your higher power every day to stir up your faith in a way that changes your walk. Harry, what do you think of this song in question? David, I have something that I do battle with from my past. No matter how much I try to suppress it or try to forget about it, it still creeps up now and then and makes my whole body cringe. And I end up kicking myself in that moment of realization. For me, it's certain stuff that I have done to certain individuals in my life, which I've not spoken to anyone about due to the embarrassment of that stuff that I did. When these thoughts resurface, I immediately pray and thank God for His forgiveness. There's certain things that addicts will do that's absolutely unspeakable and unbelievable just because of our addictive behavior. Things that we'll never speak of, but will remain an unspoken truth of a once madman. There's a truth in saying that secrets like this can force a person to relapse. But if the individual wants to maintain their secrets, then they will need to be stronger to withstand the guilt trips that our minds will experience over the years in sobriety. I guess some things can never be spoken of to man, but do need to be discussed with the Lord for forgiveness and the courage to move on from the past. Shaw, so true, Harry. If we have stuff from our past that we keep secret, it's almost impossible to find forgiveness and overcome the blow. Gary, What do you think on this topic? David, I'd really love to make that call to someone who was my arch enemy for decades. The guy who set me on the path of self-destruction, the consequences of which many decades later I'm still reaping. That person, David, was my father, but he passed on years ago, so even if I made that call, it would remain unanswered. It would just ring and ring. Even though we reconciled before his passing, I could almost feel the massive guilt he carried because of the consequences I have faced in my past, and the ones I guess he feared for my future. He recognized that the rebelliousness and self-destruction was still active in me, and he understood too well the consequences that came from his choices and behavior, which were fueled by his dysfunctional relationship with his father. Yes, if I were to place a call to him now, it would be to say that I've overcome the blow. I've made it to the other side. I've changed and I've come good as he did. And in the end, I not only found myself, but importantly, my original purpose. I found God, or should I say he found me. I found life and I found meaning. Shaw, awesome, Gary. I really see how you overcame the blow of your past with your father, and it freed you to find life with meaning and purpose. Eddie, what do you have to say on this song? Well, David, I can't really say that I still struggle with any of my addictions from the past, but I do still struggle with certain traits that those addictions created. Mainly trust, because of the paranoia that my addictions created. I question everything. I tend to look at the worst in everything. I overthink situations. That all creates this anxiety and mistrust with people. So this then touches my area of confidence. I have serious lack of confidence at times. Most times because I always needed alcohol and drugs to be someone. So now it's a struggle to be able to realize that where I am is because of my own ability and not luck or others. I feel that I always have to overperform in order to prove myself. And most times I don't feel worthy of anything. This probably makes me look incompetent at times because I second guess what I do. And yet, the people I engage with struggle to understand why I am the way I am. So it feels like the ghosts of my past. Yeah. But every morning I still wake up, dress up, and show up. Shaw, Eddie, you really worded that well. I like the way you phrased that the ghosts of our past keep chasing us until we overcome them. And the best start is to wake up and show up every morning. Dante, would you like to close us out today? Sure, David. I too still battle negative thinking. I find myself going down rabbit trails imagining that I'm engaging with people who I used to have conflict with, people who aren't even in my life anymore. This just happens randomly from time to time, and I've learned I really have to take control of my mind in order to push those thoughts out or deal with them properly, meaning I'm possessing them in a manner that moves them out of my mind and not just pushes them aside for another time. You see, I don't want that broken record to be playing again and again and again. You guys feel me? We sure do, Dante, and that's so true. It sounds like the ghost of your past and many of our pasts being negative thoughts on what was in our past wants to wake us up. That ghost wants to come knocking every morning and be the broken record that we need to figure out how to turn off so we can overcome the blow. Thanks for listening to this episode of the A to D from Addict to Disciple podcast. If you'd like to join an online group or get one-on-one counseling to help you in overcoming the blow from your past, please message me on the link in this podcast or by email at davidfroma2d@gmail.com or go to my website www.froma2d.org and click on the contact page. You can also keep in touch with what we're doing in From A to D by following me on Instagram at davidfroma2d. Tune in Monday for our next episode, and as always, stay safe and stay strong.